Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I just want to show the cards that I made using the Sizzix Maycraft box. This one was called Up, Up, and Away, and you get 3 really nice die sets, which I think are sold outside of the box. So I know I'm posting this pretty late in the month here, so if the box isn't available by the time that you watch this, I believe the dies sets should still be available. You just won't get the other stuff that come in the box, which include 2 glitter pots and a lot of cardstock. So here are the cards that I made using this kit. So this is a little bit of a switcheroo because in my tutorial video for making these cards, I did originally use Distress Oxide ink. But once it dried, I didn't really like how it looked, so I redid the card in a larger format and used dye inks instead, and I think that turned out a lot better. But the technique is the same. So basically, I used the dies as stamps by die cutting out of foam and then masking off the hot air balloons to do the inky background. So there's my flat card. Then for my layered card, just a different style of background where I use a cloud stencil to stencil a cloudy background, and just using that rainbow in a different vantage point. So you're basically looking at it kind of head on. And the stencil I just made myself using my Cricut machine. So you can always sort of make your own stencils if you have a Cricut machine. It's another fun way to add to your crafty stash. And then for my interactive cards, I made 2 that are pretty much the same. So this one I made first with some cardstock out of my stash. So I wasn't too sure on the rainbow mechanism, so I used a lighter weight cardstock than what we get in the kit. So I think I use 60 or 65 pound cardstock out of my stash here, so that I could just test this curve and how easily it would bend. But my tip would be, there is a base layer that you glue these strips onto. I would cut that out of copy paper, and that's what I've done here. So it just helps you to get a really smooth curve. And then the other thing that I changed up when I made my second one, this was the second one that uses the actual cardstock that comes in the kit, and it still actually pulls up really nicely. But I show you in my tutorial video in more detail, but basically here's a side-by-side, which you don't see in my tutorial, of how this one, if you can see the difference between how the curve of the rainbow ends on the right side versus the left side. I prefer it to look like this, and the reason why this one kind of slopes a little bit is because some of the colored cardstock is actually below this piece of cardstock, and so the paper doesn't really end where that line is. It extends under the piece that's holding it down. So to get it to look a little bit nicer, at least the way that I like anyhow, I actually have to alter these colored strips a little bit, and I go into a little bit more detail in my tutorial video. So that's just an aesthetic thing. It just depends on how you like your rainbow to curve. And then I just used, instead of the eyebrow on the happy face, I used the eyebrow to make a little winky face. So you can kind of play with the different facial expressions that come in here, because these are all separate die cut pieces. So there's my interactive card, and then my last card is my pop-up. And I know it looks very underwhelming on the outside, but that's how I like my pop-up cards. I like for the outside to look kind of, plain, and you can feel that there's something going on because there's some thickness there, but then when you open it up, it's all the more satisfying to see the fun pop-up. So both sides, it's a full background cloudy panel, and got lots of different layers here. So this is attached right to the card base. The next layer is this balloon then this balloon, and then the cloud here that extends all the way onto this side of the card. So that is all kind of just handmade little pop-up stands. So you can really customize this to however you want to compose your pieces. And if you can see here, this balloon, it's getting pulled up by this balloon here. So the pop-up stand is actually attached to the hot air balloon itself. And so you can always do that. You can always use an element that's already on your card to pop up another element behind it if you want. So love how that one turned out. So those are all the cards that I made using the Sizzix Up and Away craft box. Thank you for joining me. If you want to see how any of these cards are made, feel free to check out my tutorial video. I'll link to it in the upper corner here and at the end of this video. Happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Thanks. Bye.